Sri Narak Singh, and I went to school in India at GNFC, 1981 to 1986, and graduated spring of 86 and came home, and then I went back in 94. I don't remember what year.
94 was
94
4S.
was there for 2 years with 4S. Then the school moved to Ranjit Avenue, D Block, and then I was not there that year, and then I came back for the first year of MPA. So we spent half the year at Darbar Sahib, living in the Navas, and then we moved into MPA. So that was 19 years ago, 20 years ago, first year of MPA, whatever it was. We took a train to Dehradun, and then from Dehradun we took a bus up to Missouri, and we went to the school, and not everybody was back yet, so we moved into the dorms, and that's kind of when it got real. Yeah, you got issued school uniforms, you move into this dorm, and then kind of school started, and I don't know how long we were there, a couple of days, a week, and then the guides who brought us over left, and there was no American staff at all. I remember I happened to be on the field at GNFC in Vincent Hill when they left, but I remember saying goodbye to them and they left, and I remember thinking, I am really, really far away from anybody I know. I have no phone, I have no way to call anybody. I remember thinking, that saying, it just got real. Like, that's it. So that was different. And we had no American staff until Nanak Dev showed up in Gurunamkar.
My name is Jiwan, and I went to school in India first in 1981. And I went to Guru Nanak 5th Centenary School in Mussoorie, and I stayed until the end of when we left that school, which was in 1989. And then I was staff at the school in 4S when we were in Amritsar, and that was in 1994 we went over, and I was there for 2 years. And now my kids are at the school now at MPA.
So my name is Satnam Singh Khalsa. I went to GNFC at the age of 8 in 1982. I stayed for 4 years, started out at Shangri-La, and then went to Vincent Hill. And right now, currently, I live in Northern Virginia with my wife and 4 daughters. And I'm an attorney, I'm a practicing lawyer. The idea to go to India actually came from one of my friends named Karta, who is from Portland, Oregon, And he was going, his older siblings were there already, and he basically said, hey, I'm going to India, I hear it's, pretty cool, you should come along. So that's kind of how it started, and I said, okay, sure, that sounds fine. So that's really where the idea came from. I mean, my parents certainly knew of the program, but it had never become an active discussion until my friend Karta brought it up to me. I remember very clearly on the drive up to Missouri, looking at all the terraced hills, on the hillside, and being very impressed at how sort of magical everything looked. And that had a pretty big impact as well, just being in that environment up in the hills or the foothills, and next to a jungle, which Vincent Hill was next to a jungle, and the sense of place was pretty powerful.
I have a vague memory of first getting to Shangri-La, the girls' school at GNFC, and going into the common room and seeing all of the girls dancing to Bonnie M and ABBA, and I just have some memory of just being in total shock of being there. But me and Ravi used to have a set time every night, at 7:30 we would meet at a set spot every night to sit and cry. But then we got over that. When I first got there, when I first got to India when I was 10, I could not put up my hair, I could not tie my turban, and every morning I'd have to go find Sadhari or Sampi or somebody to put up my hair and tie my turban for me, and that was not much fun, but I have a lot of good memories from being there. I had a lot of fun. I mean, you know, like I said, I used to cry every night initially, but you know, that didn't last long, and I am very grateful for the experience and had a lot of fun. And I would say most of my friends would say the same.
So the experience going from Shangri-La to Vincent Hill was really like night and day. I went from an environment where I was basically treated like a young child who needed everything and done for him, and then at Vincent Hill, you're on your own, and you're thrown into this environment with a lot of older boys, and so you're the youngest in a group of boys who kind of range from age 9 or 10 up to 18 and probably above. The culture of Vincent Hill was also much more harsh than Shangri-La. That said, though, there was a lot of freedom that came along with being at Vincent Hill, and when you had opportunities for free time, I mean, there was a lot of fun to be had also. So it wasn't all watching your back, waiting for some vicious blow from some direction. There was a lot of goodness, a lot of camaraderie, and a lot of opportunities, I think, to develop depth and strength and resilience.
When we were there as kids, obviously cell phones didn't exist. International calls were super expensive. And so the primary means of communication was either an aerogram, which most kids today have no clue what that is, or telegrams. And telegrams were notoriously misspelled. It was like playing, Wheel of Fortune, and it's like, I want to buy a vowel. Yeah, so you'd get a telegram once in a while, and you'd have to play a game to figure out what it said. My mom and my dad had no clue what was going on at school in India.
None.
No
Every
clue.
time I complained to my mom about not hearing from my children right now, she's like, I never heard from you ever, and I had no idea what was going on ever. So yeah, that's very different.
To say no clue, I mean, that's not an exaggeration. I mean, back then we didn't come home during breaks, so we were there for a long time. I was there for 5 years. And you got really close with your friends. Your friends became your family.
When we went to school, there was just a handful of us Americans that went into a school full of a lot of Indians and Thais and a few other people, and we just, we became super close with all of them. I still am friends with them, and thanks to Facebook, see a bunch of them all the time. And it just gives you a different global perspective on being accepting of all different cultures and religions, and it's that everyone is equal. And so I think that that's something that we got from being exposed to all of it over there.
The other one is definitely a toughness. I have chosen to go into a line of work in my life where I have responded to disasters and war zones and things like that, and the conditions that I've had to live in sometimes have been far less than plush, and it's no big deal. I don't care if I'm sleeping on a tennis court in Haiti or on a helicopter landing pad in Iraq. I don't care. Like, I've slept on marble prakarmas and cement floors in Nivasas and taken showers under a tap with cold water and lived out of a backpack. I'll give you one story. The short version is this. I got kicked out of school. My first half a year, I didn't want to be there, and I figured if I failed, they'd send me home. So I had to repeat the grade, and I didn't care. I wasn't studying, I wasn't trying. So like I said, I like to challenge authority. So they were serious. They made me repeat the grade, and I was like, okay, I guess I better pay attention. And then I snuck over to the girls' campus one night with the purpose of doing a bunch of pranks, some innocent vandalism, which I did with 2 friends, and we all got kicked out of school. I thought for sure I'm going home. Didn't go home. Got sent to Amritsar. Went to go live in Amritsar by myself, well, with 2 friends. I was 14, they were 15 and 17. So there was one American living in the Navas who he would check on us once in a while, but we were just kind of free to do whatever we wanted. And so we had no money. We ate lungar every day. And really we didn't have anything to do and nowhere to go. So the short version is what became my life for the next few months was we started every night at midnight, we'd go clean the Golden Temple. And then when we were done with that, we'd say our Banis. We'd finish Asa Duvar, we'd go back to the Navas. Well, we'd say Japji Japsab, then we'd go back to the Navas, we'd have breakfast. And then we'd sleep, we'd get up in the afternoon, we'd go to lungar, we serve lungar, and then we would eat, and then we would go clean up karma. Then we had a couple of hours to kill. We'd wander around the city of Amritsar, meet people, visit Gurdwaras, just got to know the city, got to know people. Granted, I'm 14, I'm just wandering, no one knows where I am. Then we'd go back in the evening, I would do Reras, and then I'd say Anansab, and then we would hang around the complex, do Kirtan Suela, and then just kill time until we went back in to clean the Golden Temple at night. And I did that for months. And this went on for quite a while. And then we started going to other Gurdwaras around Amritsar and cleaning them as well. We kind of fell in with this whole Seva crew. And it became a really simple life. We had no money, we had nothing. And then I got back into school a few months later. It was awful. I really didn't want to go back. But we got in, and I can tell you what I learned from that was the old saying, you don't know what you got till it's gone. I didn't realize what I had until I got back into school. And what I had, and what that experience was the best way I can describe it is really pure contentment. I didn't want anything. I didn't need anything. I wasn't sitting around wishing I had this or wishing I had that. Now, I probably couldn't have done that for the rest of my life, but I had this experience of I was just serving all the time and my needs were met. And it was perfect.
Well, I would say that the one thing that India teaches you is to survive in any situation, and that you can overcome anything that comes your way. And I think you kind of learn to just deal with anything, and that you can make it work somehow. And I think that's one of the gifts that you get from, which doesn't seem like a gift when you're experiencing it, but later in life, it does give you a toughness that you can kind of figure anything out.
India seemed like a long time while I was there, but I think back on it and it was like that. And I'm 48 now. I went when I was 13. That was definitely, there's a lot of stories in between that I could tell about whether it's my connection to being a Sikh and how that's evolved over the years, or my connection to my friends, or being close to danger, or being scared, or there's a lot of lessons I learned in India, and India can be a really harsh, tough teacher. And I came out of it going, I grew up in India and I missed out on certain things. I'm not going to say it was perfect, but I also gained things, and you can't do it all, and what I got was very unique, and I choose to appreciate it.
I guess I'd like to to just re-emphasize and kind of give a shout out to all of the other folks who went to GNFC and who were part of that initial group. Sort of like the pathfinders and the trailblazers of the India program. As I talked about, it was certainly challenging, and everyone, I think, experienced it differently. But I would say that for me, being part of that group, made it possible for me to kind of experience it in the best way possible, and having that support, was invaluable. So it's really with a sense of gratitude that I look at all those other kids who I went to school with, and also with the sense of gratitude toward Sir Singh Sahib, of course, and the parents who were able to make that difficult decision to send their kids away to this school, sort of sight unseen, on faith, because I know that must have been difficult too, and I realized, for all the difficulties that the experience brought with it, it was truly like a blessing and an amazing experience that has changed my life, immeasurably, for the better.